speak. I am powerful.
I am powerful.
Louder. I am powerful.
I am powerful.
I am powerful.
I am powerful.
Well, hello. Welcome to the podcast today. And we have a very special guest. I am so excited. Tori, tell the world who you are.
Yes. Well, first, thank you for having me, Julio. I feel like I need to say Dr. Julio, give you your proper accolades. So
You don't have
yes,
to. Thank you.
thank you for having me. Yes. So I'm Tori DaCosta. If you speak Spanish, you may say DaCosta. I do not speak Spanish, but I love how it sounds in Spanish.
It is pretty, yes.
Yes. I'm married, so that's not my last name or my maiden name anyway. But I am a Fortune 50 leader. I am the founder of JourneyStone.com. I am a coach, and I'm also the author of the best-selling book, No Name Bastard. Yes, subtitle, How Our Lives Teach Us What We Can Control, Manage, and Influence. And I'm looking forward to talking to you about that today.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
I got to tell you, as soon as I saw the name of that book, I was loving it. Can you tell us about the name a little bit? Why?
Yeah, I can tell you the name. So I will tell you this. I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't read it. However, folks are like, how did you come up with that name? So it is provocative. And I didn't realize how many people the word bastard made uncomfortable until I put it on the cover of a book. And people who know me in everyday life, they're like, Tori, I never hear you say a bad word. And I was like, it's not a bad word. It literally just means a kid who's, born to unwed parents. Definition wise, I don't look at it as profanity. And that's truly the meaning of it in the book. The book deals with identity. It deals with transformation. It deals with labels. It deals with some uncomfortable conversations. But the whole point of it, and it's a self-help book, the whole point is so that readers can tap into my stories, my experiences, and then learn lessons from them so that they can grow from their own experiences.
That's right. Yeah, because we go through some really powerful stuff. We just don't see it that way. So why this book? What made you write this specific book?
Yeah, I'll tell you how the book came to be, and then that'll lead right into answering your question. So I was finishing an executive MBA program, and phenomenal program. Shout out to Emory University in Atlanta. That's where I did my executive MBA. Lifelong friendships, great. People that I will love until the day I die. I got to the end of the program, and I should have been like jumping for joy, which I was because the homework was coming to an end. That's a really good feeling, right? However, even with that feeling, I had this feeling of, okay, now what? Right? Like you got the business strategy, you've done the spreadsheets, the leadership, all these things. And I still felt like I wasn't fulfilling my purpose. I was like, there's more to give. So I started asking myself questions. I paused, I got quiet, and quiet time is a normal part of my day. And I said, what is going to be your impact in this world? I don't think that impact's coming through spreadsheets. Right.
So what is your impact?
Yes. So the impact came through the book. And that's where the idea for the book was born. And the funny thing was, 5 years ago, I could not have written that book if I tried. And it's not because I didn't have the ability, or I'll even say the confidence, right? I think confidence comes in layers, and maybe you have pockets where you're more confident in the areas where you're not as confident. But I never felt comfortable sharing personal parts of my story, especially the parts that were painful. And then as I'm coming out of this program, so blessed and fortunate to be a part of it, I realized that my story could be a blessing to other people. So the other thing I've learned as a leader is sometimes as a leader, you have to go first.
Yeah.
Right? You've got to create that space for people to feel like it's comfortable, it's okay. And Julio, I'm going to tell you, I did it. It's out there in the world. I went first, and I'm inviting people to come along with me for the conversation.
And that's pretty powerful, because that's like one of the hardest things for people to do, right? To put their story out there. And this is me. What would you say to someone that's trying to get that courage, that's trying to, they know how strong their story is and what they could do with it, but they're scared of what people say or how it looks. What would you tell them? What did you do to do it?
Yeah. I mean, there's always a risk, right? And folks ask me the same question. They said, Tori, are you concerned about your career? Are you just concerned about how people will perceive you? And the reality is that I'll put it in two things. One, when you know that it's a part of your purpose to share that story, you cannot quiet that voice that keeps saying you need to share, right? So that's part of it. But then the other piece is you get to a space where as you're weighing pros and cons, the reward to all the people that you're going to be a blessing to, the lives that you're going to impact, the folks that will be empowered humans as a result of you sharing far outweighs any criticism or negativity that may come your way. And I would just say, use that as an opportunity to become stronger.
And how did you feel after releasing it, after letting it go?
Yeah.
What was that feeling?
I felt, I do a lot of things, Julio, and very rarely do I feel like I've had an accomplishment because I have more degrees and licenses and certifications
all over the place.
And I care to count, right? But because it was such a labor of love and way outside of my normal day to day, right? Like I don't work in publishing. I don't write for a living, anything along those lines typically. And I had to go to a different space and learn new things, learn a new industry and put myself in a position to be a student, right? Be a student so that I could be a teacher in this regard. And for that, I mean, it was 100% worth it. But I say that to say I did have a moment of just pure gratitude for being able to get it to a space where it is now.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. You mind sharing a little bit about? I know we don't want it. Anything about the
Hey, what do you want? I feel like I can give you enough filtered where we won't have any spoiler alerts. So you tell me what you want to know.
Yeah, tell me where your story started or where the pain. You mentioned pain in there, so tell me. I would love to know.
So the overarching theme throughout the book is that challenges are fuel. If you want to become the best version of yourself, you have to. Like, you do not get better without going through hard moments.
Right.
And the weird thing is, for the most part, Julio, we know that intuitively, right? Like, if I want to become stronger physically, I have to lift weights or I have to do something that's going to tax my body so that I can get to a space where I can handle that or handle more, right? But for whatever reason, emotionally, maybe even spiritually, I would say we don't seek or we're not comfortable with hard things. So the book is really an homage to me coming to the place of understanding that all of those hard experiences and challenges that I went through were just preparation for the next phase, right? So some of the things that we talk about, people pleasing. I did not realize, I was surprised at how many men, so for your men listeners, I didn't realize how many men struggled with people pleasing until this book came out and people started reading it and they were saying things to me like, oh my goodness, Tori, that resonated with me or that hit me right in the heart. And I was shocked because I was like, wow, you guys were struggling with that too or are struggling with that. So that was a big learning for me. But part of it was, I won't give the spoiler, but I got an injury because I was so concerned about, to your point, Julio, what would someone think if I said no? And in the circumstance that happened, I was the only one that paid the price for not saying no. So that was a learning for me. I was like, Tori, you need to get better at saying no. You can't just be the yes person and go along with the flow because you will pay the consequences. And even if you don't pay physically, right? You may not pay physically, you may not pay monetarily, whatever the case may be. You are still paying because everything you say yes to means you're saying no to something else because that option is removed from the table, right? You can't do that.
Yes, I like that.
If you're saying yes to everything that everyone else wants you to do, that means you're not doing the things that you probably need to do to better yourself and better your life. And I don't think people make that connection immediately because they're just like, I'll just say yes and go with the flow. Well, that's time that you could be giving to reading a book or spending time with your family or doing something to better your life, right? So that's one of the challenges. Another thing, Julio, you might appreciate this. I was 18 years old before I learned I had been using the wrong last name up until that point, had no idea. So I talk about that in the book. That was a crazy learning.
Wait, what do you mean? Wait. What do you mean using the wrong last name? I'm curious.
So the last name that I thought was my last name my whole life was not. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yes. It's kind of crazy. I got married when I was 18 years old. Okay. So for all the people on the call who were or listening that said, oh, wow, that's kind of crazy. They'll be happy to know I'm still married to that
So
man.
it worked. You see,
It worked.
back up. She was right.
Yes. So we're still married, but in the process of going to change my name on my Social Security card once I was married, I learned that the paper I'd been using as a birth certificate was not actually a birth certificate. Now, here's what's crazy. I'd use it to get into schools. I'd use it to get a driver's license, like everything that you need, that official documentation. It was accepted. People were like, okay, hey, here you go. Well, I go to get the Social Security card and they would not accept it. So I go to, the Department of Records. We're all familiar in New York.
Yes.
Shout out to my New Yorkers. You know the lines you got to go through in the department. So I go there, and me and this very, I'll call her laissez-faire woman. She was not at all concerned.
You could tell you're a leader.
Situation at all. We get to the counter, and I'm telling her I need to get a copy of my birth certificate, and I tell her my name, and she says, "There's no one in the system with that name born on that year." I was like, wait a minute. I know where I was born. I know who I am. I tell her the hospital, everything. She's like, you can tell me whatever you want. You're not here. And of course, this is after waiting in line for, I don't even remember how long, an uncomfortable amount of time. So she asked me, what is your father's last name? And I say to her, I don't have my father's last name. And she says, I just need your father's last name. So we're going back and forth like two bulls locking horns, who will. I'm like, you don't need to know his name because I don't have it. And she's like, I need it just to check. So out of frustration, I finally just say, here's his name, and I keep going on to explain why she's not going to find it. And she was like, poof, here you are. And I was shocked. So my whole life, I've technically had my father's last name, but didn't know it until I went to go, make the change with the Social Security card, and then having to get the birth certificate and seeing it on there. And to say I was shocked was an understatement. And I think what actually helped to curb the shock was I'd had a very shocking moment, not exactly like that, but the feeling was familiar. So I was able to recover a little bit more quickly this time from the previous time. And then also the whole point of this was I was changing my name anyway. So it was like, okay, you
wasn't going to use it anymore. Anyway.
Does it really matter?
Yeah, but
yes.
I can see how it could matter. That's a lot of, that's a lot of questioning yourself. Like, wait, have I not been who?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's weird. Not weird.
Yeah.
It's just different. It's a different, I've never heard of that.
And thinking, cause you have a last name, you're sharing it with your family. And all of a sudden I'm like, all this time I thought I had the same last name as my mom, and I didn't. So it was a little bit jarring, but again, because I was changing it kind of passed quickly, but crazy things like that. So those moments and having to deal with the identity, the change, and even with me locking horns with that woman in that moment, right? The lesson for me was I didn't want her to be right.
Yeah. And that could,
that's
another layer. We got another layer here.
Yeah, yes. It's like even if I had no concern, and it wasn't a big deal, I would have just told her the name. I'm like, oh, no big deal. But the fact that I didn't want her to be right, I didn't want to share it. So that was a lesson for me looking back, because in the moment I didn't have the maturity to understand. Just give her a name. Like, what's the big deal?
Get her.
Like today, that's how I think about it today. Like, no harm, no foul. What's the big deal? But because there was such an emotional tie for me then, and I didn't have the growth and maturity that I have today, I couldn't see it. So there's been a ton of, just maturation going through experiences like that. And there's others that I talk about in the book that are so much harder than that. Some dealing with death, others dealing with I mean, traumatic, like cinematic. Should not have seen that with my eyes.
Well,
Death.
you're from New York, so I mean,
Yes. The propensity is a little bit higher.
yes, it's a different world, like
Yes,
completely.
very
So,
much so. Very
and
much
to your
so.
credit, it was someone that worked in the Social Security office in New York. So I could
Yeah.
understand. You're like, I'm not doing what you say.
Yeah.
But that was I mean, I don't know. I've never understood that. But how did you get through everything? That's a bigger question.
Yeah. I mean, the beauty of it is just in the moment, it feels so heavy and so
Right.
big and so challenging. But I would say this to anyone struggling with anything right now. Everything is temporary, right? Regardless of the situation, regardless of how it feels, it will pass
That's
at
right.
some point. And the thing that I learned is that if I could embrace the challenge while I was in it, right? Like even something like that, because it's emotional, instead of trying to stuff the emotions down, push the emotions away, not acknowledge them, not deal with them, they're not going away, right? Like you're better off just acknowledging it, recognizing how you feel and work through it. And then you can move past it more quickly versus, deflecting or pretending you're not upset or you're not hurt, because it's just going to stay there and fester and get worse.
That's
So
right.
there's always a lesson in the situation, regardless of how big it feels or how hurtful it is.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's obvious that your way of organizing life and your way, which your coaching clients must love you, but your way of doing that it works. I mean, you have a master's degree. How does that thing feel? That's huge.
It felt like a lot of work. It felt like it should have, right? Because you don't want them to pass them out like candy. And because you have a doctorate degree. But anytime you're going through something that requires you to, I'll say, level up, right?
Yep.
Like you
I love
have
that.
to rise to the occasion. It pulls the best out of you. And the beauty of that, one of the other things I talk about in the book is the word ambitious. So when I was younger, I've always gone hard, like 100%, give it your best.
I can tell you from New York, the words you are using. I haven't heard people talk like that in a long time. That's pretty
They
sorry.
say you can take the girl out in New York. You can't take New York out the girl. And I will tell you, anyone in New York listening to this right now is going to say, she does not sound like a New Yorker. You're right, because I have been out of New York for over 30 years. However, culturally, I still appreciate so much about it. But as a kid and as a young woman, like to call someone ambitious to me was like to call a woman or a female ambitious was like calling her the B word. I thought it was a bad word. Like I did not take that as a compliment for someone to call me ambitious. And I was meeting with a C-suite level female executive one day, and she went on to tell me how at one point someone had called her ambitious, but again, they didn't say it like it was a compliment. So she took the word and said, if by ambitious you mean, and then she defined it to suit her. And when I tell you she mic dropped, she did. And the beauty of that was she taught me in that moment, you don't let someone else define you or try to put you down, because it was a passive aggressive, side compliment. And she just took the word and owned it. And in that moment, the last bit of archaic thinking, she chiseled it right off my brain.
It's over.
And I said, thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Good
so I'm okay.
her.
I'm okay now if someone calls me ambitious, because when I was younger, the way I perceived it, it was fine for a man to be ambitious. It was blasphemous for a woman to be ambitious. And I literally had two definitions in my head for the same word. And then I realized, I was like, no, we can all be ambitious. Just go after what you want and do it well.
Wow, I never thought about that. Now that you say it, yes, I probably heard someone use it in the way that you speak of, but how stupid. Ambitious. There's really only one definition for it.
One definition, there should be.
Yeah, that's all it should be. And that brings me to another question. Has it been, because you're also a successful leader and successful coach, successful author, what drives you so much to do these things? Because elephant in the room, you're a woman. And it's hard. It's 10 times harder for women to go after their dreams in this place we call home, which I think is ridiculous. So what would you tell a woman that wants to start going after these dreams, wants to start going hard, and has those thinking or those people that...
Right. Well, I think to a degree, there will always be some folks who don't support what you're doing. And the sad thing is they may be, very close in your circle. And that's okay. Do it anyway.
Because they're wrong. That's why they're doing it. I feel like that's why people, because they know there's something there and this person's about to take over, this person's about to win. And the only thing they can do is, I don't know, put them down. But I love that. Just do it anyway. So
but there's always a filter, right? Like when someone is saying something to us, and I've kind of trained my brain to listen for that. If someone says to me, boy, that seems like that's going to be hard, or boy, that takes a long time, or oh my goodness, are you really going to do X, Y, Z? And what I started saying to myself, if someone says, wow, that really looks like it's hard, I just add for you.
I'm using it.
It may be hard for you, but I'm doing it. It's not hard for me, right? So, and recognize that. And I don't want that to sound crass, but the reality is, like, we all have a thought process on what we're capable of doing. Right. And some of us we're willing to try even if we're not sure. So I say, just don't allow other people's filters to dictate how you live. Now, let me add another piece to that. You asked me what drives you. And it is so simple. It's been the same since the day I was a little girl. I love people.
Wow.
Like, I love people. And the beauty of being a coach and a leader is that when you're helping someone go from where they were to where they want to be, and if I can help them do that without increasing their workload, so we're taking you, like, we're closing that gap. We're on your potential and taking you to that next space. That is like that's the epitome for me. I love seeing folks succeed. The truth is, I don't feel like I'm succeeding unless the people that I'm supporting and helping are succeeding. If you're in my realm and I'm responsible for your success, that's the only time
you are a leader, obviously, but you encompass what a leader is. That is amazing. And you bring that into your coaching session, obviously. So
absolutely.
What's your, what kind of coaching clients or who are the...
Yeah. So of course because I have a broad skill set, I'll just say that I typically work with leaders and entrepreneurs, right? So I'm helping folks who have businesses and they're looking to grow and develop their businesses. Part of what's fun about that is because of the way that I operate. A lot of times when you're dealing with folks with business, you're looking at metrics, right? You're looking at how they grow revenue or how they increase product sales, things of that nature. The thing that I like to do a little bit different, Julio, is look at it holistically. Because if you're winning on every metric, if you are hitting all the numbers that you intend to hit and your family is suffering, you're not winning.
You're not.
Right?
Big time.
And I think a lot of times, like, we can drive and go so hard in one area that another area starts to suffer. And I don't like the word balance, work-life balance. I know people strive for that all the time. I think it just makes people feel guilty and overwhelmed. Like, it's not real work-life balance. No, because if you work a 40-hour work week, right? Well, and then you feel, I need to give my kids 40 hours, or I need to give my spouse 40 hours. It's just not possible. There's not enough hours in a day for that, so sure. I prefer the term work-life collaboration, and I have some strategies and techniques. Yes. It's so much, it relieves a ton of guilt and pressure, but there's strategies and techniques that you can use to create a better picture of what you want your life to look like. Because again, if you're working all the time and your spouse is like, you never spend time with me, or you don't spend time with the kids, that's a signal that someone needs you, right?
That's right.
Some attention is needed. So just kind of readjusting how the picture looks. And a big part of that is communication and setting clear expectations.
Wow, entrepreneurs. I'm going to tell you, that's a tough job to coach entrepreneurs. In my opinion, because entrepreneurs are driven. Is like you said, they're going after something and miss other things. So what do you think is the biggest challenge with entrepreneurs that you see? I'm not a specific client, but overall, what is the challenges you usually have to work with when it comes to entrepreneurs?
The biggest challenge I see repeatedly is a lack of delegating, right? Trying to do everything yourself. That is not, I won't say you're not an entrepreneur, but you don't want to be you don't want to be the best marketing person. You want to be the best salesperson. You want to be the best, admin person. If you're doing all that, you don't need a team. So,
Yeah, right.
And you'll probably be a little crazy when it's all done.
Yes, I'm burnt out.
So really figuring out the systems and processes that you need operationally for your business to be successful so that you do have the time and the energy and the space to pay attention to all of those other things
Yes.
that we were talking about. Because as an entrepreneur, systems and it doesn't matter if you are a mom and pop or if you're a Fortune 10, right? Doesn't matter. Systems and processes are going to be what creates consistency in that business. And I once heard a woman say, she said, you shouldn't walk into a business and feel like you hit the lottery. And by that, she meant you go in, one customer goes in and has one experience, and another customer goes into the exact same business and has a totally different experience. That's a clear indicator that that business does not have clean and efficient or well-defined systems and processes.
I like that. I'm impressed by you. I love you. You look powerful, you talk powerful. So I can imagine an entrepreneur will get a lot of benefit. How about in leaders, when coaching leaders? Does that become a little bit hard when you're coaching someone that's used to being, the person that says what happens next?
You know what? It's very much like an entrepreneur because entrepreneurs are leaders as well.
Yes.
And I'm going to challenge your listeners right now because I don't want them to check out on us. Sometimes when people hear the word leader, they will say, well, I don't have a team or I'm not managing people. And my perception or my perspective on leadership is a little bit different. It's that a leader has to make decisions. And if you have to make decisions for yourself, you are leading yourself every single day. You are literally guiding the direction of your life with the decisions you make as an individual. So I think sometimes people underestimate the fact that even if you don't have a title, you're still a leader because at minimum, you're leading yourself. And it's very likely that you have people in your home or in your community that are looking to you and you are leading them as well.
Yeah, I believe that to the core of me. Leadership is not a job, it's your everydays and a person. So I love that you're saying that. So how do they find you for coaching? How do they find you? I mean, I'm gonna put all of your stuff everywhere, of course, but if you want to talk about that a little bit, your channel.
Yeah. If folks want to stay in contact with me, they can. So all my socials, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Very active on LinkedIn, but it's at Tori DaCosta Leadership. So, and let me just clarify, that's DaCosta with an A because people spell it with an E all the time.
You and the last names. What is going on?
So at Tori DaCosta Leadership for the socials. And of course on LinkedIn, you just, type in the last name. And then they can go to my website, journeystone.com. If you forget that and you go to toridacosta.com, it'll take you to the same place. So you can find me there. And I love interacting and engaging with people. So looking forward to the reach out.
I love it. So what are people going to gain from that book? If you could tell them you're going to get one thing out of this if you take the time to read it. What do you think it is? The
one thing I'm going to share the one thing that I think has been a consistent thing for everyone, but the feedback that I have gotten from so many people, Julio, has been because there's so much variety in experiences in the book, right? So they may not have had my same journey, but love, pain, joy, frustration, like that's a human experience. So for the people who are reading the book, they're connecting to that. And I've heard things like, I forgave my parents.
Look at you saving the world. Alrighty, amazing, amazing.
Probably the other thing that was so impactful, a woman told me she checked out on life and she said, I got halfway through your book and I checked back in.
Oh,
I was like, that makes it worth it, right? So
yes.
to answer your question, the theme throughout the book is that challenges are fuel. And when you embrace them, they will help you become stronger.
Big time. Yeah.
And whether that's leading yourself or leading someone else, it absolutely makes a difference. And there's space in the book to actually go through after each chapter to answer some questions and think through, based on your individual experiences, what are some things that were lessons for you that maybe you didn't fully embrace or you didn't fully flesh out because you just moved through it so quickly? It's like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad that was done, right? And in the business world, sometimes we'll say, do an after action review. Did you stop and think through, how did the situation come to be? What did I learn from it? And what can I take moving forward? And maybe even how can I be a blessing to someone?
So facing that challenge is the first part, of course, and accepting that challenge. So how about the fear of it, right? A lot of people are scared of facing challenges. I know quite a few, and it's hard. So what's a step? I know we can't say it in one talking, but what's a step someone could take small to face that fear and understand what you're teaching?
Yes. So depending on what it is, I would tell them first, sit down and figure out why. Why is it that they even want to take that step? Right? Because if the why is bigger than the fear, just go for it. And then the other piece of it is that I think oftentimes we make fear bigger than what it needs to be. So some people say fear is false evidence appearing real, right? The thing that you're fearing may not even happen.
Most of the time.
But the fact that you're not trying, you won't know whether it will happen or not, right? Take small steps. And again, I'm not going to go in the gym and try to bench press 200. I'm going to start with a little lower weight, right? So let's just say maybe your fear is public speaking. They said there are people who said they fear death less than public speaking. I don't quite understand that, but it's been said. So let's just say that's your fear, right? So maybe the next time your family gets together, you just stand in front of your family and just express a few moments of gratitude. That's public speaking in a very comfortable, right? Or the next time you're in a meeting, you say, hey, I just want to open the meeting. Just take a few minutes and practice in small, low risk. Nothing's going to get broken if you mess up.
We'll be all right tomorrow. Right? I like it.
Everything will be fine. So give yourself opportunities to have baby steps into the space that you want to move into, right? So let's say you want to be an entrepreneur and you're just so fearful to just jump out and try it. Well, what industry are you interested in? And you'd be amazed at how many people are willing to help. Just call 10 people and say, hey, can I come shadow you for a day? Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? I just want to learn about what you're doing. Because the thing that you may be fearing, they're like, oh, that's not even an issue. Or it's not a big enough concern to stop anyone, right? And because you don't have the data, you don't have the evidence to know that, it's just you're ruminating and it's just swimming in your head without any solid data or reasoning behind it. Go answer the questions. Whatever it is that you're afraid of, go get the information so you can answer the question and move past it.
Must be a great coach. I'm telling you, it's obvious. So how about speaking? I know you're a speaker. What can a company expect hiring you?
Yeah. So I will give a high level. For specifics, of course, they can visit journeystone.com for more details. But we just did a virtual keynote a short time ago around the Talk 7-part person. And that was born out of a very challenging time for me as an entrepreneur to help other entrepreneurs and leaders, again, like we talk about, get that work-life collaboration in a space where you can be satisfied with the picture. We also offer challenge accepted. And I think we have figured out by now who we are. I am okay with challenges. All right.
That's everything. I love it. I
Yes.
love it. I love it. I
But
love it.
like you said, not everyone is, right? Like change management and just some of the things that come along with that can be hard for people. And again, I talk about some of that in the book, but recognizing that not everyone moves at the same pace at the same time. And you have to be mindful of that with bringing people along. So that's part of it. And then lastly, some folks have gotten together and they're reading the book and they want to do a book discussion. In fact, I will be tomorrow at an event doing a book discussion in a book signing with some folks who've read the book, and they're just like, we have questions, we want to talk. So I do offer book discussions as well. And some of the content in the book just really resonates with folks who, if they've had a story similar to mine, or if they just feel like they have gone challenge after challenge after challenge. And the reality is, when I think about the folks who are here to tell the story, right? Like I know some of your backstory who is super, super inspiring, right? But there's so many people who they're not even here to tell their story.
Yeah, another layer. Man, you keep adding these layers upon layers upon like what? Yes, you are so and that brings about appreciation that at least you're getting the chance to do it. Man, I love what you're kicking. I love what you're teaching. It is amazing. So now I have a weird question.
Yeah.
If you had to choose, well, thank God you don't. If you have to choose between being a leader, being a coach, being an author, or a speaker, which are you most passionate about? Which one would you want to do? Would you pick out of all of them? Don't think it's going to be weird.
I was going to say, here's the beautiful thing. You're right. I don't have to pick because I'm doing all of them.
Right. That's right.
But I'm going to take a little different turn with this. I'm going to tell you, as a coach, I am a leader. I can't separate the two, right? So there's a leadership and there's a coach in that. And when I'm speaking, the reality is whether it's a group of 50, 500, 5,000, or just one, like me and you right now, I'm still using that same skill set and that gift. And the beauty of being an author is a lot of times people think, well, you're writing an article or you're writing a book or you're doing something along those lines. I think what drives the success of an author is the creativity.
That's right.
And I'm bringing all that in this moment right now. So I kind of answered you saying I can't separate them.
You are so smart. You just did that. I'm like, is she really? She's doing it. She is not going. That was a beautiful answer though. But you are right. It's all in one. And I think you give, because there's a lot of people that they have to, they can't choose one lane. And I think you just showed how to succeed in doing that the right way. So it's
one may be a little bit more amplified depending on the venue, right? Like one may be more amplified than the other. But to a degree, they're always all there.
Yeah, that's right. I love it. Can you share, without sharing, where you're leading? What was one of the most challenging experiences as a leader that you had to deal with?
Yes, let's see. Let me go through the Rolodex and pick one. Wait, I might have just dated myself. What is that? Yeah. Let me go through the file. Maybe that's more relatable. I will tell you, there was a time where I was going through some structural changes. And with that, anytime you have changes with business systems, operations, things of that nature, it will typically impact results, right? Because there's a time where you pull back and you slow down to speed up, so to speak. And the pressure to get things to market and get the results that were needed was real. However, I understood that there were a few things I couldn't sacrifice to make it happen. One was trust. If you're going to lead people, they have to be able to trust you. Like if you say you're going to do something, they have to be able to count on you, know it's going to get done. And the other part of trust, and there's several components to this, but I'm just going to pull these two out, is that they have to feel like you're not just doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
When you're doing things and you're trying to get results only for your benefit, then you've lost the battle, because they will not trust you. They will not have confidence in you, because it always comes down to what you need or what you want versus what's in their best interest. I once had a chief human resources officer say to me, Tori, there's two type of leaders in the world. There's an I and there's a we. He said the I's are always going to think about themselves.
That's right.
They're going to drive and push the team to get results so that they look good. That's the I, right? The we is going to be conscientious of bringing others along, being mindful of their needs as well, and work to make the team look good, not just them as an individual. And the moment he said that, I could think back through every leader I've ever been on a team with and immediately identify who is the I and who is the we.
Wow.
My goal is to always be a we.
That's right.
Right. So I share that because even with the challenges and the things I was just talking about there, I knew that there were certain things that could not be sacrificed to get results. And for that reason, the results suffered for a short time. We were able to bring them back, but it was more important to me to bring them back with everyone together versus just running out hard in front and getting to the finish line. Look at me. I made it. And then you look back and you're like, hey, where are you guys? Why isn't anybody with me?
I guess one question, and I like to ask this to everyone. Are you like proud of yourself?
Ooh, that's something I never think about. And the reason why I don't think about it is because I just lead with gratitude.
Yeah.
When I know the trajectory and in the beginning of my story, and the reality is at some point in life, all of us are a statistic. But when you say someone is a statistic, that's not a good thing. And the way my story began, of course, I could very easily be a statistic. But because I guess the stats are favorable, I'll say it that way, I'm just grateful. I don't ever want to get to a place where I don't appreciate. I'm thankful for the accomplishments. Just gratitude.
I love it. And the reason I asked is because I can I don't know, you could see that you're a very humble person. You could see that you think of others a lot. And every question I've asked you, you're thinking about the other. So that's why I asked, because as professionals, you've done a lot. I think sometimes we forget to be like, damn, I did it. Damn, I did it. I am it.
Well, you know what? I received some coaching one time a few years ago. A gentleman who was a leader for me had done some things that were pretty amazing in his eyes, and I didn't celebrate. And he said, Tori, you have to learn how to celebrate your accomplishments. Now, here's a good thing, Julio. I will celebrate other people all day. Like if you're, I'm high fiving. But he taught me that. He said, Tori, you have to celebrate what you're doing as well. And I probably don't celebrate enough still, but I never forgot him saying that to me, because part of it, you know what? I'm going to go to one of the stories in the book, and right or wrong, it always stuck with me. I never shifted my mindset from this. So one, the gratitude, again, looking at the path and the journey. But when I was a girl, I was in grade school. There was a boy in my class who was getting $5 for every A on his report card.
Okay.
So I came home and I was like, wow, I could hit the jackpot. I came home and I asked my mom, I said, hey, such and such is getting $5 for every A on his report card. Can I get that too? And she looked at me and I knew it was a long shot, Julio. Go for no. I didn't mind asking. And she said, no. She said, and why would I pay you for doing something that you're supposed to do anyway? And it's not hard for you. Which is why I thought I could hit the jackpot, because I knew I could get it.
You're like, what?
But she was like, you're supposed to do that anyway, and it's not hard for you. And those two things stuck with me. So as a leader and the things that I'm doing, I'm like, I'm supposed to do that anyway.
Gotcha.
Right. And when I'm going after something and getting it done, I'm like, I did it. I figured it out. Right. And right or wrong, she knows I love her. I'm not going to blame her for it. My mom did that lesson. It just felt like, yeah, that's just Tuesday. It's another day of the week. That's what we do.
And I think that to be successful, you have to be that way, I believe, because if you stop a lot to give yourself those kudos, it is difficult, right? How do you go to the next level if you're satisfied with this? But sometimes we do have to. I'm proud
Yeah.
of you. I am super proud of you. I got a lot of daughters. I got granddaughters. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, you are like talking to you, seeing you, your accomplishment. That's what I want for them. I'm telling you, I'm
Yes.
very, very proud of you for
I
what you've done.
appreciate
We've
that.
come from kind of the same place, so it is difficult, like the schooling, like to go to think you're gonna go. I don't know. For me, growing up, degrees was what? That's not a thing we do there, but you did it, and you're leading, and you're teaching other people, and you're writing books it's a bestseller, right?
It's a bestseller. You're right.
What? Yo, what do you mean? You better say you're proud of yourself every day. You know that's difficult. Of course, you know that's difficult, but not for you because you get it done.
Get it done.
That is amazing. Where do you get your motivation from? Because it's another part of it. Where do you get that motivation from?
Sometimes I'm not motivated. Let's be honest. I do have moments where I'm inspired and, I feel energetic. The reality is, so maybe this will be helpful for listeners because sometimes people look at me and they're like, Tori, how do you do all that?
Yeah.
So when I was writing the book, I was also training for a marathon, working.
Wait, you didn't say nothing about that one.
And people were just like, how are you doing that? And for me, again, it was like, you just get it done. So to folks who look from the outside, it looks like she's very disciplined. And that's true. I will say that. I agree. But I think here's the key. And I'm saying this so that your listeners, if they're struggling in this area, this can be helpful for them. Here's my question. What's your standard?
Ooh.
When you define your standard, so your standard determines how low you go. It also determines how high you go, right? So if you have a standard of you won't settle for less than, then you will do the activities that meet the standard or go above it, right? So when you change your standards, your life looks different because then the standard is going to dictate your discipline and the activities that drive it.
I love it. That was a great answer. Are you going to be a president one day? I'm telling you, be answering really good. So how about a writer? If there's a writer, somebody that wants to put their story on paper, but they're not getting to it, what would you tell them to do to start doing?
That's easy. Start writing.
Start
writing. You have to get it out. Start writing. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be organized. When I first started writing, mine looked like a skeleton. I was just literally just getting the thoughts out of my head and, it started creating structure. The book actually started with chapter 3 and then was built from there. But if you can just start getting it out your head and whether you physically write and put it on paper, or I would recommend typing, getting it.
Look at me.
At some point, it has to be in, the page of a book. So save yourself some work. You can actually do that. But just start writing. And then you can even say, okay, I'm doing 20 minutes a day. Just do 20 minutes a day. It's not a big commitment. And you will build the habit of getting it on paper so that you actually start to have your book.
And how, if you don't mind me asking, what is it? One of the biggest challenges when you were writing this? I know it's hard.
Yeah, the biggest challenge was probably, there was a chapter. The book itself was not hard to write. It took me 10 months to write it. There was
really good.
Well, I was writing like daily, except for on Sunday. I did take Sundays off. And so after work, I would write or type for at least 2 hours. And then on Saturday, I would do a few hours too. There was a chapter in the book, though. I can't remember writing every single chapter, right? Like I remember being in my office and doing the work, but there was one chapter that as I was writing it, I remember everything about that moment because I had to relive the moment to write it. And that was challenging because it was the example I gave earlier with seeing the death and it was almost like cinematic. And it's one of those things, when you see it, you can't unsee it.
That's right.
But I had to make the detail as colorful in the writing as it was when I saw it so that the reader could relive the experience with me. And I'm going through it over and over in my head, like trying to capture all the details so that that picture would be there for the reader. And that wasn't easy. I remember moments where my eyes started to glaze over because the feeling, the emotion was coming back from that day.
So you saw someone in passing, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a hard, it doesn't leave. It's hard to, it's, yeah. Wow. I look up to what you're doing. I seriously do. I love what you're doing. I love that you're teaching it because that's like the most important part, right? Like teaching it to others. So how can someone come to get some coaching from you? Or how can someone book schedule an appointment for coaching?
Yeah. So if someone wants to stay in contact with me, the best thing to do is just go to my website, the journeystone.com or toridacosta.com. People DM me on the social all the time, so someone can message me
On the socials?
On the socials, so wherever you want to connect, that's totally fine. But it's a blessing and a pleasure to be in the space that I'm in because what I recognize is we don't get better just for the sake of being better, right? Like, what is the point of that? You get better so that you can pour into other people.
Man, I know there's a quote. I can't remember now about you learn it. You then like, that's the step. You have to teach it. So I'm grateful that you're alive. I'm grateful that you're doing what you do.
Yeah.
We need leaders like you. This is the time for it. Leaders that are willing to give that skill to others as well. Because then we make more leaders. So before we go, what's next for you? What can people expect to see from you next?
Yes.
Taking over the world.
You said all over the world?
I said taking over the world.
Let's do it.
President of the United States. I can see it. I see it.
No comment on that one. But I will say this, the main thing that I'm focusing on now is, of course, continuing to spread the word about the book and have conversations. And that has been so rewarding, like folks reading the book and then reaching out to me and sharing some of their feedback, and people who had very different, like I would say like white bread life experiences, like textbook American, the mom, the dad, the picket fence, the dog and all that. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay.
That was a dream for us.
Yeah. But I mean, the fact that they're being blessed by the word, it says a lot about the message going forward. And for me, it's really just about honoring the work, honoring my purpose, the gifts that the Lord has given me to be a blessing to other people. I'm so grateful for. So going out and sharing the messages from the talks and from the book. And I'm open to wherever that leads.
Oh, there you go again, answering without answering. Part 2, but that's good. I mean, you're doing. So last question, what inspires you to follow your purpose?
Wow. The first inspiration is my faith. I believe that we are given gifts and we have talent and, all of it is for a reason. It's not to be wasted. And I truly want to honor and glorify the Lord with everything I do with my life. So that's a big part of it for me. And then again, I love people. I feel like the more people that we can serve, one, the world will be a much better place. Can you just imagine if everyone was trying to serve and help other people?
World.
The world will look so different if that was the mindset that more people had or everyone had. And of course, I'm not naive enough to think that's real. We can imagine for a moment.
Yes, why not?
But again, the drive to help and support people, because I know that most folks they're trying to do the best they can. They're trying to raise their families. They want to do good things in this world. And sometimes they just need a little support, whether that's mindset wise or skill set wise, to get to the next level or the next space. And if I'm the instrument that gets to be a part of doing that, that's a win.
Beautiful. That was a beautiful answer. Very beautiful that you're so passionate about helping people. Where do you think that comes from? Like, why do you, because I don't know, every time I meet someone that is their purpose, that is their passion, I always get interested. Why that? It's a hard job, no matter what, right? So what helping people to you? Why is that so important to you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for some folks, it may just be the way they're built. Like for me, again, I can go back to being a little girl. I know I've known for years that I think of others first in most situations where I have to be mindful, like to be considerate of myself and my needs. And I've learned to be better in that space. So, it took some maturity to get there. And then, of course, we had to erase the people pleasing phase. I talked about that earlier. But I also think that because we are built for community, like relationships, and that doesn't mean that you have to be an extrovert or love being around people all the time. But none of us came here and were just dropped on an island to live by
Yeah,
ourselves.
that's right. That's right.
There's always a sense of community, a sense of tribe, a sense of family, whatever word you want to use. There's a need for interaction. And because it is so powerful, and we get so much more done with others than we get done on our own, right? Like the power of teamwork, the power of collaboration, the power of community. When you really understand that, I think it is just a natural driver to want to cultivate that in any way that would help others to be better.
I love it. I'm voting for you. I'm putting your name on that ballot. Wow. You're going to imagine everybody vote for her.
Look,
Let's do it.
I have zero plans to ever run for office, but one thing I have learned is to never say never.
That's right.
So we're going to put on the record. If for some reason I do ever end up in politics or running for office, we're giving Julio credit for planting the seed.
That'll be amazing. Do you have anything else you want to add that I missed or?
Yeah, the only other thing I will add, and it's right in line with everything we've been doing and talking about so far, and that's just to say thank you to you. You have created a platform to empower humans. I love the title of your show, and really you are infectious and energetic. Like, I want you to be my hype man. I'm going to take you with me everywhere.
Take me out there.
Yes. But you truly are creating a space to change people's lives. And I think that's powerful. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, everybody go get the book. I highly recommend the coaching session and exploring that. She's amazing. Leadership, events. People go to her website and support her. That's all that matters. Yep. Thank you so much. It's been such a joy meeting with you. I look forward to seeing your work in the future.
Repeat after me. I